Hey there. So I wanted to explore this concept of hope. After I did the research on hope, I wrote up what's in the written post for my environmental ethics class blog. If you're interested in that, just email me at grandfatherphilosophy@gmail.com and I'll send you a copy or a link. Uh, it's interesting. It's on the philosophical history of hope. Uh, but I'll tell you, you can get a little bogged down in it. I realized, however, that there was a message in there about happiness. Uh, as you may know, I am an apprentice happiness philosopher. I studied under Dr. Oliver in his philosophy of happiness class. And since the lockdown began, I have been making these videos on happiness philosophy. They're on my YouTube channel, and they're under the series is called Grandfather Philosophy. This video is for you, my environmental ethics classmates. I will post it as a Grandfather Philosophy video, but because it has a happiness tip in it. So here's the thing. In our class, for 2.5 hours every week, we have considered the catastrophic effects of climate change. And this can bring you down. But we always talk about hope. We all hope for something, don't we? I hope we can save the planet. Now, in the books I've read for class, I've learned about the probability of the earth becoming uninhabitable for human beings. I've learned about what we can do to lessen that probability, and I've learned about our failures as a society to do anything to lessen the probability of human extinction. I've learned to talk about this in moral terms, and I've been encouraged by the authors of these books and by others to hope that we can make it better. I hope that we can somehow develop a more functioning, just society. Our recent presidential election has shown that there is some basis for hope that we can improve society. At least for the moment, we have stopped our imminent slide into a authoritarian government. I won't say totalitarian, but I think authoritarian is better. But the election has shown that we are really divided as a people, that we really don't understand each other. This calls, in my opinion, for self-reflection on the question of our own self-righteousness. Are we all so sure that we are right? And as I said in the last video, I'm dealing with this cancer issue, and so is my sister. And I sure as hell hope that that works out all right. I hope I don't get COVID. So, how does hope differ from optimism? Can we substitute optimism for hope? Well, if you just plug optimism in a sentence for whatever you hope about, you can see that they're different concepts. I hope we can save the planet, but I'm not optimistic about it. But it's not just wishful thinking either, because it is possible. The difference lies in the degree of certainty that one has about an outcome and the degree of control that one has over the outcome. It's a continuum. Hope is about, I'm hopeful about the planet. I'm optimistic about the cancer. And where does faith come in? I don't even want to go there. I discuss it briefly in the written post. If you don't have a structured concept of hope, something that's measurable, you are subject to, prey to vague expectations, as if you're some sort of passive bystander sitting, waiting on an outcome. It's like happiness. People who think that happiness is something that simply happens to them fail to understand that happiness is something that you have to work for. You have to actively seek happiness and not just passively hope for it. The same thing applies to hope. If we develop an active construct for hope, if we can use it in a proactive manner, it can become a useful framework to help us achieve goals and contribute to our personal and psychological well-being. All right, but first we got to have some understanding of hope. There's two criteria for hope: a desire for an outcome and a belief that it's possible. Hope includes the improbable and it excludes the merely logically possible and the certain. If you believe something is not possible, you can't hope for it. If something is certain, there's no need for hope. Hope involves uncertainty. Hope can be, and this is a critical point, hope can be a motivating force. It can license hopeful activities. Action. It has instrumental value. It also has intrinsic value. It's good in itself. Hope involves mental imaging, imagination. It's pleasurable. Hope has pleasure associated with it. It makes you feel better. So I have to talk about Pandora. The Pandora myth is an origin myth, an explanation for the beginning of something. The Pandora myth explains why there's evil in the world. Pandora was the first human woman. She was a curse of Zeus on mankind. He had punished Prometheus for stealing fire from the gods and giving it to humans. And he decided he might as well go ahead and punish mankind as well. He, maybe through Hermes, made Pandora out of earth and water. Hermes gave her a bitch's mind and a knavish nature. He gave her the gift of speech so she could lie, and the mind and nature of a treacherous dog. Other gods gave her talents, beauty, charm, music, sex appeal. Also, they gave her curiosity and the gift of persuasion. Pandora means all gifts. Okay, so when she married, Zeus gives her this beautiful, magnificent jar as a wedding gift. Now, a mistranslation in the 16th century turned the jar into a box, but I'm staying with the jar. He forbade her to open it, from opening it. But he knew that she would, because of her nature. Her curiosity would get the best of her, which it did. And when she opened the jar, all of these ghostly creatures flew out. Disease, poverty, misery, sadness, death, all the evils in the world. Everything escaped the jar but hope. Man had lived without worry until woman opened the jar. Can you see the comparison here between this and the origin story in Genesis with Eve and the apple and the subsequent consequences? So why did hope stay in the jar? One common story is that it was Zeus's will. He wanted people to suffer in order to understand that they should not disobey the gods. In some versions of the myth, Hope leaves the jar. This is nice. She leaves the jar and touches the wounds created by the evils. In some, Hope remains in the jar separate from the evils and good by comparison. There's many competing interpretations of why hope remained in the jar. Was it to keep hope available for humans or to keep hope from humans? Is hope consequently to be regarded as a good or an evil? One commentator said, was hope a good, a comfort to man in his misery, a stimulus rousing his activity, or idle evil in that it's idle hope in which the lazy man indulges when he should be working honestly for his living? This is a question that philosophers answer differently. But see that last formulation of the difference between good and evil relates directly to the idea of an active and passive construct for hope. The written post on the blog covers how philosophy addressed this question. It begins with the ancient Greeks. Then it considers 17th century philosophers, Descartes and Spinoza. I skipped the 18th century philosophers, Hume and Kant. After Kant, there were two approaches to hope. Writers like, writers like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche and Camus regarded hope as a misguided relationship to the world that is unable to face the demands of human existence. Writers like Kierkegaard saw hope as a means to overcome the limitations of ordinary existence. I come down on the side of hope being a good thing. It is a comfort to man in his misery and a stimulus arousing his activity. Now, I'm a big fan of the field of positive psychology. I can refer you, if you like, to my first final presentation in a Dr. Oliver class, which was on positive psychology. It's based on the premise that developing our strengths of character can develop, through developing our strengths of character, we can become happier and achieve eudaimonia, a well-lived, flourishing life. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about we have to work for happiness. Hope plays a role in psychological well-being. It's the link between the goals we have, the dreams that we have, and the attainment of those dreams and goals in the future. Hopeful people see themselves as being able to create paths to goal achievement. Hope helps them initiate steps to achieve goals, and it sustains them as they work towards their goal. People with high hope levels are better able to set goals, make plans, and take action to achieve the goals. They've got a more positive attitude about themselves, and they set higher goals. They've got a strong belief in the likelihood of achieving their goals. They're success-oriented. People who lack hope believe that the pathways to their goals are unattainable. They set lower goals, have a sense of uncertainty and failure. They tend to experience negative emotions when working towards their goals. Now here's the bottom line on this. Hope is good for you. Hope can motivate you to set goals and sustain you as you work to achieve them. And setting goals is necessary for happiness. So in this time of trouble, reflect on all that you have and on your hopes and dreams for the future, and set goals to realize those hopes and dreams. Make a plan to achieve them and then act on your plan. This is fundamental management strategy for success. Identify your dreams, set goals, make a plan, and act on them. Dream, plan, act. That's my happiness tip. Set goals to achieve your dreams and act on a plan you create to achieve those goals. So there you go. I hope that you all have a happy and successful life. And stay tuned for the next video, where I hope to show you that you don't have to worry about anything.